There are new signs of progress on talks in Afghanistan. Today, the Afghan government named a team to negotiate directly with the Taliban.
Many analysts say it could mean the United States may be on the cusp of agreeing to withdraw troops after 18 years of war. U.S. withdrawal was a main precondition for the Taliban to engage in talks with officials in Kabul. For more, we're joined by Kelley Vlahos, executive editor at the American Conservative. Welcome, Kelley. Secretary Pompeo, he said this week that President Trump wants to reduce U.S. presence in Afghanistan by the elections in November. What could a deal with the Taliban mean? What could it look like at a time when it seems they're having more leverage and maybe even more territory than ever before?
Well, I think, from a U.S. perspective, the American people want out of this war. So I think a withdrawal, or at least a sort of coming to terms with the Taliban and a successful agreement and a withdrawal would mean that President Trump would come through on one of his main campaign promises, which was getting out of the Afghanistan war after 17 years. As you know, in December, he declared that he wanted a complete withdrawal, or at least a drawdown of troops in December, which caused the resignation of Secretary of State James Mattis. More recently, like you said, Secretary of State Pompeo said that the Trump administration wanted a withdrawal, a full withdrawal by the next election. He's sort of backpedaled on that more recently, saying that he wasn't setting a timetable. But I think what we're seeing here is actual negotiations are going in a positive direction, and I think that it would be great for all concerned on both sides, because the American people are finished with war after 17 years.
Kelley, apologies for sounding like Debbie Downer here. You said that it's positive that we're talking about negotiations. However, we're also talking about this on a day where we just learned that 34 people were killed in a bus that hit a Taliban bomb in Afghanistan. So I mean, how successful can negotiations be if events like this are happening almost on a daily basis?
Right. No, I agree fully. But I think that if you've been watching this, I'm sure you have been for the last several years or so, that there have been many fits and starts with negotiations in the past. These seem to be the most credible, the most progressive in terms of what I've read. Most recently, as you mentioned, we're actually having members of the Taliban meet with not only American delegates, but representatives from the Afghan government. Now, as you probably know, the Taliban has so far been, has not wanted to meet with Ashraf Ghani, President Ashraf Ghani's government directly in separate talks. They want to get some promises from the U.S. first about withdrawal before they actually negotiate with the Afghan government. But they are now meeting with members of the Afghan government in these talks that involve European and American delegates. And they're actually sitting down in Doha, and they're actually having conversations. They're not reading off of scripts. It's slow. There are fits and starts, but I think that we're seeing more positive movement than we have before. Now, yes, the attacks are still going on. And so what the Americans need to have are assurances that not only that the attacks will stop, but that the Taliban won't be harboring any other terrorist groups in the future. That is the main sticking point. If they can get that, then we can start talking about withdrawal. But you're right, there are a lot of question marks. And there's always the open-ended question, too, about Pakistan's role, because as many experts in the region know, that Pakistan has been funding and harboring and supporting the terrorists over the border. So where are they in these talks, and can these talks be successful without them?
Kelley Vlahos, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate your time.